Hey everyone, I'm Jeanie, here for Talk to Me Tuesday. This is only my second video. Then the first video didn't have any sound or anything to it. But I do want to appreciate the warm welcome that y'all gave me last week. I have thoroughly enjoyed this whole new season of quilting for me, and a lot of it has been part of the fandom stitching groups that I've participated in. Had a wonderful holiday. I was off of work for 10 days, and the majority of that was spent quilting. Went back to work Wednesday, so I'm trying to get back into the swing of work and working a few hours here and there on my projects too. One of the big things that came up is that I won the drawing for the Hocus Pocus Quilt Along invitational pattern, and that was like a really big deal because I got up that morning and everybody was in the house and they were sleeping. And so when I saw the news that I had won, it was I was like, yay, and I was trying my best, trying my hardest just to not get, wake up everybody in the house. And it was really cool, and I just got really excited. And then when someone actually woke up and asked me how my morning was going, I start telling them that I won the drawing for the Phantom Stitches, and then just a few minutes later, the other ones started waking up in the house and wondering what all the commotion was. So my attempt to stay quiet did not last long, but it was really a big deal. I actually received my t-shirt in the other day. It just made my day. It was a really good thing to happen right at the end of the holiday season. So let's see, today what I'm working on today is I've been working on, of course I'm still working on Hocus Pocus. This is actually my second one. My first one was all in purples, and I did it the traditional way, the recommended way that was shown on the site. I only done a few embellishments, but for the most part it was exactly the way that it was designed to be made. I decided on my quilt to add as much extra possible, just everything. I designed several patterns myself, and then other people designed some absolutely wonderful things, so I've been adding them. Every one that comes my way, I've been adding to it, and in the process I've had to change around the layout a lot. So one of the members, Mary, she was showing her layout in a digital form, so I thought that was a really good idea because there's so many different ways that it could be done, and I needed to try to incorporate as many of the pieces that I could. So I actually made my own layout. Using Word, I just inserted a table. I'm sure there's other ways, but it helped me then constantly changing the wall around. I was able to do this right from the computer without having to make too many changes on my actual wall. And then this morning my husband helped me move everything around to the way that this is. Every piece I actually made bigger than what, because I think the standard sizes were the 5x5s and the 10x10s, and I made them bigger than that. So it's, instead of just being a 50x50 standard, it's going to end up being quite a bit bigger, plus all the extra pieces. Just yesterday, I finished 3 sets of boots. I done each boot in a different color, one for each sister. I've decided I'm going to put them all the way down here at the bottom. I kind of like it. I think it just looks really cute right there at the bottom. There's always a chance to change until I put that last seam on it, but right now I'm liking where the boots are sitting. Very cute pattern. This came from the Invitational, and I just felt like The other sisters needed shoes too. So they all got boots. Then after that, I started here a week or so ago on making me a new border for it. And this is what I came up with. And it's really cute. I do like it, but I don't like it in the white. I don't know. It doesn't blend. For me, it doesn't work with my colors. I think it looks really, really good on my cauldron. The white lettering looks really, really good on my cauldron. So I was thinking that the border would just kind of help make it pop. I'm not crazy about it. So this piece was my test piece, so I'm just going to set it aside. Don't know if I'm going to have a future project for it or not. I don't know. But what I've done is, today I worked on putting it in a different color. So there's the white. And this is it in the black. I like it much, much better in the black. I've already gotten a couple of corner pieces up, but you can't see it from that point. But I just think the black hat looks, I don't know, it just looks better with the colors that I have going on. And I think it'll give it a nice frame just to kind of say, okay, we're done. You know, a nice finished look to it. So I've been working on that today. This right here was on and off all week, but in the end, I didn't like the colors. Another thing that's going in the border is, it's just a bunch of, here's the pattern right here. Right here. And it's meant to go, you know, it's just, and then a bunch of up underneath it. Up underneath it. Let's see. Like right that. Well, I noticed once I started putting the pieces together that the sizes aren't the same. You know, the bottom row has a larger border on it. So I'm still going to continue doing it this way. But I'll have to add another piece to the top. Then I'll have to measure it out. I'm going to have to tweak it a little bit to happen, because instead of putting it one row on top of another, I plan on actually adding it into my border right here. So it'll need to be just one row. And I think it's going to look really, really cool. I just didn't have room to put it in my actual quilt. I still wanted to get all my pieces in. So this was a good alternative for me, is to put my, it's just a bunch of into the actual border piece. Then it also helped me save on some of my background fabric, because I was able to use my border fabric. So that was a big thing. Because when we started adding all of this other stuff, the original design only called for, I think, 3.5 yards of background fabric. I have went way beyond that 3.5 yards. And as a matter of fact, I went back and I ordered a couple of yards just to be on the safe side, because I did plan on doing the extra blocks. So this has helped me by putting it's just a bunch of in the border. It's helped me a little bit save on some of my background fabric by using my border fabric. This border fabric also happens to be what my backing is going to be on the quilt. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I plan on spending the rest of the day working on my corner pieces, while I'm calling my cornerstones, and then finishing up. It's just a bunch of, my goal is to have the quilt done by the 18th of this month. The reason why the 18th is because I'm wanting to start on the Bonnie Hunter Mystery Quilt. And I usually participate in that quilt during the actual season. But Hocus Pocus kind of took over my sewing, my life, and I've loved every minute of it. But I still want to get my mystery quilt done. I started saving fabric for it months before I even ever heard of the Hocus Pocus quilt along. So they've already done the reveal on it. They revealed it, I guess, Friday. And it's a beautiful quilt. It is a very traditional quilt. And one of the reasons why I like doing the Bonnie Hunter mystery quilts is because it does have a very traditional feel. I tend not to do traditional. So it's a good opportunity for me to do some of the more traditional patterns. But I always use novelty type fabric. So last year I used all Game of Thrones fabrics in this traditional quilt, and the backing was all Game of Thrones. So when you know, non-fandom people looked at it, oh, it's a beautiful, you know, traditional quilt. But then that Game of Thrones fan would look at it and they would be able to pick out that I ended up using, you know, like Game of Thrones map fabric or the crest fabric. They would see that, but it would be a true fan that would actually see them little things. Now, in the Hocus Pocus quilt, some of my fabric actually made it to Game of Thrones fabric actually made it. My mop actually has it's made out of the Game of Thrones map, and it looks really, really cool. Looks really, really cool because it's, of course, we're talking about a mop, but as you see that it kind of has a I don't know, a dirty look to it, a textured look, but actually that is the Game of Thrones map. Someone, let's see, I believe it was Mary's video that I watched, and she said if you were a, let's see if I get this right, she said if you done the paper piecing projects like this, you needed a good wood fabric. And I'm telling you that is so true, because here a couple of years ago I made a bookshelf quilt, and I bought a dark wood and a light wood, and I bought a whole bunch of it. And I have used this dark and light wood for everything. Actually, some of the characters' hair has the light wood or the dark wood fabric. And it's a really good textured piece. It tends to blend in really, really well. So I agree with you, because I have used that wood fabric. I still have a couple of yards of it left, and I just keep trimming a little bit of piece off of it every now and then, and it's coming extremely handy. Let's see, another thing, my favorite piece, I'm telling you, this quilt, I've thoroughly enjoyed working on this. This has been a challenge to me, because I've done paper piecing before, but never on this level. A couple of weeks after I started working on this quilt, I was working on two of them, one for me and one for my daughter. I decided that I wanted to do more paper piecing. So then, crazy me, I'm impatiently waiting for the next pattern to be released so that I can get to work on it, knowing that later they were going to get harder and, you know, bigger. But I felt like I wanted to do more, so I decided to make my son's a Zelda quilt after I had already started on the Hocus Pocus quilts, and I had given myself a deadline of Christmas. So we started in September. By the end of September, I had decided that I needed to get these 3 quilts made. Both of my sons, their quilts, and then my daughter a quilt, and then mine. I knew it wouldn't happen until after the first of the year, but I made this decision, and it was a mistake. They loved the quilts. They absolutely loved the quilts, and it was amazing, and I felt extremely accomplished. But getting all them quilts done by Christmas, working a full-time job. And then I got kind of caught up in the whole designing of the patterns. I was starting to get really, really overwhelmed. But in the end, I learned so much from September to now. Me and my paper piecing, we've become buds. But in the beginning, it was definitely a challenge for me. I thoroughly enjoyed the invitational. I had these ideas in my head, and I wanted to put them on paper. And after working with the paper piecing for a while, helped me understand how the designing worked in the background. So, for those of you who have tried some of my papers, please keep that in mind that I am new to this, but I am learning and I'm enjoying it. I've already gotten an idea for a big project for me to do, but I'm waiting to get my new program, the EQ8. I don't have it yet, so I've decided I'm not even going to start putting this idea down on paper until that happens. So just keep in mind, I'm new to it. I'm not new to quilting, but I am new to designing paper piecing. So, anyways, it's been fun though, and I have thoroughly enjoyed working on this quilt. Let's see. You know how when you start on something and you've completed it, and then something else happened later in the quilt, and then you start regretting the decisions that you made earlier on. Well, that's kind of how I'm feeling about these pieces. Now, as far as the wording, that doesn't bother me. I actually really like these two blocks. One says, I put a spell on you, and the other one says, and now you're mine. Everything about them I am perfectly cool with, except for the color. Because now that I've changed my mind on the border being black and green, and then it's just a bunch of being black and green, I feel that these need to be black and green too. Right now it has like little musical notes on the wording, but when you walk away from it, it looks like little dots. I don't know. I've got this deadline of the 18th in my mind, and depending on how this week and next weekend goes, these may end up getting changed. Haven't completely decided yet. But anyways, thank you so much for taking the time, welcoming me to the group. I've totally enjoyed everything. The people, just the group in general. I've really enjoyed talking to everyone. Everybody's been so encouraging, and I've got a new project. So anyways, thank you very much, and y'all have a wonderful new year.